In this tutorial here, I'm going to show you how to create a small delay between functions or between different actions in a VB program. Here I am using Visual Basic 2010, and I have gone ahead and I have created a new project, and I have created a new form, put some buttons on the form, and I've actually already coded it, but I'm going to walk through what the code actually does. Oftentimes you'll find yourself needing to create a small delay between function A happening and function B happening. Here in this particular program I have two buttons, no delay and delay. So when I click no delay, I'm wanting to change this white background to red instantly. However, when I click button delay, I want it to take a split second before it changes color. And there is no real way to do this without creating a function or going more into depth and kind of using a timer. And that's just kind of ridiculous because oftentimes when you're programming with microcontrollers or you're using something else like you're programming an ASPX, then you might need to create just a small little delay. When I first came across needing a delay for my Visual Basic program, I was controlling an Arduino microcontroller and I was trying to send commands to it, but the controller couldn't process a command accurately if it didn't have if the controller itself didn't have a delay of about 50 microseconds. And so with the Visual Basic program, if I tried to send two commands at once, like let's say I wanted to turn lights A and lights B on, and I sent the command to turn lights A and the command to turn lights B on, both one after the other on my computer, the Arduino was only able to accept the first phrase that was sent in, and the second one was just lost. It wasn't able to recover it because the computer was able to communicate much faster with the microcontroller than the microcontroller was to be able to read what the computer was sending in. It's just the difference in the processors and how fast each one can do it. So here I created a simple small delay function, so that way I can I can send one phrase to my microcontroller and then a split second later send another phrase. If you're programming and you're used to Arduino and you use the Arduino IDE, you know that you can just say delay and then you can say X amount of microseconds and it will kind of pause everything for that amount of time. Well, when you're working with Visual Basic and oftentimes C++, you don't have this option. So the easiest way that I have found is to go and create you a sub. So create a sub function here, and I call it myDelay. And what it is going to do is it is a for statement, or you could do a do while statement, and all it does is count. And so in my case, I'm counting to this huge number here, and you'll see in a second when I play this that this is actually not a very big amount of time. If I want it to be longer, I'd add another 0, or maybe change the 1 to a 9, and kind of make it a little longer than it actually is. But all that I have done is when I want to call that delay, when I want the program to kind of pause for a split second, I call this sub function, and this sub function just declares an integer, and then it does a for statement, and it counts that integer from 0 or 1 or whatever I started at to my number that I end up finalizing. Now, in this function, I could have it receive this big number here, so I could pass to this function that number, and that way I can kind of control how long the delay is. So I could say, okay, delay for this amount of time or delay for this amount of time depending on the function. Here I just left it as standard straight number here so that it can kind of be manipulated and played with, and there's real no question on it. So anyways, I have two functions. My first function is that sub, the myDelay, and then I also have the sub change color, and this is what changes the background color of the form. So if it is the color red, then it's going to change it to the color white, and if it's the color white, then it's going to change it to the color red, and you can just do that with my if statement here. So it's pretty simple. I have my two buttons, as you saw here, my BTN no delay and my BTN delay. You can see that the BTN no delay, I called it instant, not BTN no delay. I don't know why I said that, but I called it BTN instant, and my button that says delay on it is BTelay, so they're named appropriately. And so whenever it's instant, I call this change color function. So that way it just goes ahead and it changes the color instantly. But when I call the button delay, when I call the BTN delay click event, then it's going to initialize this sub myDelay, and after it does its process, it's going to go to the change color sub. So this is what it looks like whenever we actually run the program. Here I am. You'll see no delay. So click, 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 and then you'll see with the delay. So when I click the button, click, see how it takes a split second there? I can click it again, click, and it'll change it from red to white. And you can just see the delay there, so just kind of get a feel for how long of a delay that is. So you can kind of see when I click the button, it changes colors. Now, if I want to make it longer, let's try adding another like 0 or 2 zeros to this, and let's just see how long. Oops, too long for an integer. So let's see how long this is, long of a delay. So no delay, instant, delay, delay. Okay, so see, it took quite some more time than it did beforehand. So maybe that's kind of stretching it for an integer there. So maybe we can declare this as a double or a long. Let's just declare it as a long. We can go ahead and so see, there we go. That was quite a bit of a delay. So it just paused that entire program while it counted from 1 to however many zeros there are there. There's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 zeros there. So counted from 1 to that number there, and whenever it got done, then it changes the color. So it goes ahead and it calls this function first, and then it calls that function second, or that sub, whatever you want to call it. And that is how you do a simple to the point delay function. So you can call this anywhere. I could call this 2 or 3 times. So maybe this is too long, or maybe this puts a lot of strain on the computer. So maybe I can take a couple zeros off there, and I could rapidly call my delay. I could call it 4 or 5 times in a row, and then it would just be 5 times the delay amount. Maybe that'd be a little easier on the processor, a little bit easier on the memory. That way it's not having to hold that huge number and add to it every single time, because we all know that takes up precious memory. And even though it's not that much, it still adds up, and if you had 100 functions doing this, then that's 100 times that memory. So anyways, this was just a short, quick tutorial on how to create a simple delay in a Visual Basic program.